All right, so we got this article here on GameSpot. It says, Joker movie director reacts to criticisms. Outrage is a commodity. I'm surprised. Isn't it good to have these discussions? All right, so this seems interesting. One of the 2019's most anticipated films, Joker, opens in the cinemas this week behind great reviews, bad reviews, controversy, and more. Director Todd Phillips has now weighed in again on the discourse surrounding the movie. He told The Wrap that he's been surprised to see the reaction to Joker coming across in some circles as negatives. The discourse surrounding Joker has some people talking about and confronting big issues like gun violence and more. I'm surprised. Isn't it good to have these discussions? Isn't it good to have these discussions about these movies about violence? Why is it that a bad thing if the movie does lead to a discourse about it? Phillips said. The director went on to talk about why he thinks people are eager to pile on to the Joker. I think it's because outrage is a commodity, he said. Read that again. I think it's because outrage is a commodity. That's pretty much fact nowadays.
Right? Oh, yeah. That is the most true thing I've read in a very long time. When I read that, I was like, immediately, I need to understand every single word this guy has to say now.
Yeah, let's see. He goes, I think it's something that has been a commodity for a while. True. What's outstanding to me in this discourse, in this movie, is how easily the far left can sound like the far right when it suits their agenda. It's really been eye-opening for me. Phillips went on to say that he didn't make Joker to push buttons or to glorify Arthur Fleck's murderous actions. The idea from the start, which he shared with star Joaquin Phoenix, was to make Joker a real movie with the guise of a comic book movie. The pitch and a relatively small budget, $55 million, helped Warner Brothers agree to make the movie. I literally described to Joaquin at one point in those 3 months as like, look at this as a way to sneak a real movie in the studio system under the guise of a comic book film. Phillips said, it wasn't, we want to glorify this behavior. It was literally like, let's make a real movie with a real budget and we'll call it f***ing Joker. That's what it was. So he kind of took sort of the Christopher Nolan approach.
Agreed, yeah.
With like his Batman films.
Let's make a movie and call it a comic book. It just happens
to be a comic book movie. Earlier this month, the families of victims killed in the 2012 Aurora, Colorado movie theater shooting reached out to Warner Brothers to ask the film studio to help use their influence to make safer communities with fewer guns. The shooting took place during a screening of The Dark Knight Rises. In response, Warner Brothers said, gun violence in our society is a critical issue, and we extend our deepest sympathies to all victims and families impacted by these tragedies. Our company has a long history of donating to victims of violence, including Aurora, and in recent weeks, our parent company joined other small business leaders to call on policymakers to enact bipartisan legislation to address this epidemic. Warner Brothers stands by Joker and added that it does not endorse violence of any kind. Warner Brothers believes that one of the functions of storytelling is to provoke difficult conversations around complex issues. Thu statement said, make no mistake, neither the fictional character Joker nor the film is an endorsement of real-world violence of any kind. It is not the intention of the film, the filmmakers, or the studio to hold this character up as a hero. In GameSpot's own Joker review, we noted that Joker humanizes a murder in a way that may make the kinds of disenfranchised, real-world mass killers we now see relatively salivate, or in the worst possible scenario, provide them inspiration.
Let's go after Netflix for all their Ted Bundy tapes and Extremely Vile and Wickedly Evil with starring Zac Efron, which is basically a puff piece to the side of, Ted Bundy. Yeah. And you walk out of that movie going, well, I didn't really do anything wrong. He was just in prison. They completely cut over all the murders and everything else, and they make him seem almost kind of like a hero.
Are we going to go after True Detective, all the true crime, all that shit?
Yeah, we're going to get rid of every true crime podcast. We're going to get rid of IDTV with all their shops, like Snapped, which is women killing their husbands, the TV show.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, these people haven't even seen the movie.
Yeah, I think the GameSpot, they were one of the ones that started a lot of this outrage.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Was that the end of that article?
No, we'll go back. But I'd have to read through this review. But hold on, let's finish it and then we'll add some more commentary. He goes, Joker had its Hollywood premiere over the weekend, and Warner Brothers disinvited press, including us.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that because not only did they get rid of press at the screening in LA, they also canceled all non-press related screenings and viewers from seeing the movie. So we had tickets to go and see it
for
because
Tuesday.
we weren't actual press. The screening was canceled for us due to safety concerns.
Ugh.
And so we had to buy regular tickets like a couple of jackasses. Luckily, we were able to find a screening on a Thursday night.
We'll rage about that more in a second.
Yeah.
So Joker had its Hollywood premiere over the weekend, and Warner Brothers disinvited press and media from print and broadcasts. Only photographers were allowed to attend, Variety reported. Our red carpet is comprised of photographers only, a spokesperson for Warner Brothers said. A lot has been said about Joker, and we just feel it's time for people to see the film. Yeah, a lot of shit has been said, and nobody's really seen the movie.
Nothing that people have seen. Yeah, and the people who have seen, I mean, IGN and Nerdist and different websites like that have talked about the story, not so much the violence, the acting, and all of that kind of stuff, and treated it like a movie.
So maybe we should back up a little bit and provide some context for maybe people that don't know what's going on. So a lot of people, there were some people that saw early press screenings of the Joker, and they wrote articles saying that the Joker character possibly can be looked at as a role model for specifically incels was the word that I read. And do you know what an incel is? It's basically like a guy who wants to have sex but hasn't been able to for whatever reason. They're undesirable by women. But and people use it as sort of a derogatory term to make fun of people. God, they're incels, and a lot of them have this almost like hatred towards women because they feel like women were withholding from them, you know. That's a terrible word, but this is kind of how they view this, okay? And so I don't know enough about the Joker backstory right now, but I think that there's something in there about that. Like, he was rejected by a woman that he loves, and he also was this stand-up comedian, and his career sort of didn't go well for him, and all that stuff combined led him to become the Joker, so to speak. And it's kind of interesting because there have been many versions of the Joker.
Yes.
Now, obviously, the Joker is a villain, right?
Yeah.
But it's always been unclear what his backstory was. In fact, even in the Nolan ones, he gave so many renditions of how he got the scars, you know, and we don't know what his real origin story was. I remember reading that Christopher Nolan even said that he did that purposefully, that in his words, he didn't want to give the Joker a backstory because he didn't want to humanize him. And so there has been many, many different versions of the Joker, none that have really dug into his origin. Now, this one does. And maybe there's... I'm not saying that on one hand, maybe giving him a backstory will humanize him in some kind of way, but that doesn't justify violence. And I think most rational human beings could watch a film and separate the two, the art and reality.
Yeah, I don't watch The Departed and go, man, Jack Nicholson made a lot of money. I should kill people too. Yeah,
I also don't watch...
I'm motivated now.
I don't watch, I don't know, Wolf of Wall Street and say like, I just want to rip everybody
I'm ready
off.
to go. Yeah, I figured out another scam myself. Yeah,
and so and what they're really speaking to is the fringes here. They're saying like, okay, yeah, but it's the unrational people that we're worried about. They're the ones that are going to see this. They're going to see themselves in the Joker, and the Joker is going to be this hero for them, and it's gonna not only glorify violence, it's going to inspire them and give them almost a role model to look up to, and that in seeing him do this, it will justify sort of their own acts, and we're going to get another Aurora type incident. Mm-hmm. I just don't buy it.
Well, I think that kind of speaks to a larger issue, anyways. If we're talking about the Joker with mental illness and things like that, and we're finding these people with these legitimate issues, it's not the movie that's the issue. It's those people in that medical health situation that they're not finding help for, which goes into a much larger issue, which nobody wants to really get into, is the medical health state of this nation and the complete lack of, forward thinking and growth in that area. So yeah, this could inspire somebody, but so could just walking down the street and seeing somebody get cut off, and then that triggers you or whatever. I think it's a great catalyst for both sides who are so outrage heavy right now to just run in front of and scream about just in case, because they're like, look at me,
Yeah, in unpopular opinion, I think these articles might lead somebody to commit more violence than the film.
Yeah, everybody, you think about serial killers, they all want that notoriety. They want that longevity. They want their story to remain in the annals of time.
That's a good point.
And this kind of shit is what's causing that.
Yeah.
It's great. Here's one of the articles, IO9, if you want to pull it up so we can stream it. Yeah. But this is one of the really early articles.
IO9.
Yeah, it's Joaquin Phoenix couldn't answer the most obvious questions about Joker's subject matter. So this is when this kind of all started.
Oh, yeah. I remember reading that he was in an interview and they started pressing him and he just got up
and left. And when you read through it, he says, rather than to stop.
Let me see the headline again.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Couldn't answer
the most obvious questions.
That's probably good enough.
Yeah. Perfect. So this was the first article that I saw. I don't know if it is the first article that kind of started this trend, but this was the first one that I saw start to make its way through.
Let me read this.
Yeah.
So he goes, because Todd Phillips' Joker tells the relatively grounded story of a disaffected white man who goes on a terrorist rampage because he feels as if he's been dealt a bad hand in life.
Let me tell you really quick how much I hate IO9.
Yeah.
Like, this is the most one-sided, idiotic newspaper that is doing nothing positive. They're just fueling this fire at this point.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Agreed. There's been an ongoing discussion about whether the movie has the potential to inspire certain viewers to model themselves idealistically after the titular villain. Even though the Joker is objectively made out to be the villain of his own film, it'd be disingenuous to say that he isn't framed in a heroic way, because the story being told is about his origins and ascendance. We know that the clown is destined to become one of Gotham's most enduring threats and one of the few people capable of being toe-to-toe with Batman. And so the Joker's on-screen actions, horrific though they may be, all build toward the idea of him becoming a powerful, important figure in society. While the Joker movie is meant to be a critique of people like its central character, like, if that's true, then period.
Yeah.
Then what's all this outrage about?
Right.
If it's really a film that's meant to critique people like the Joker, why are they all bitching about this? Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's easy to see how it could also be interpreted.
See, this is the issue right here. You could potentially view it as something it's completely not and blow it all the way out of proportion.
I could interpret anything negatively.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I could see two people hugging and go, oh man, someone's got an ulterior motive. That person's going to get murdered. Yeah. They're just casing the joint.
Oh my goodness.
It's like, how is that a healthy way to live? And how is this a healthy thing to be promoted?
Yeah, and then you're putting this out there. And it's like, there could be someone who said that writing this shit is actually what's getting stuff in people's head.
Yeah.
The idea might not have been there.
Charles Punham Moore, the author of this article.
Dude.
Shame on you.
Shame.
Okay.
Shame. He goes, it's easy to see how it could also be interpreted as a celebration of them. But apparently, that idea never quite occurred to Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, because he's just filming a goddamn movie, man.
Right? Yeah.
It's like...
He's like, it never occurred to me because this is not what's happening. It never occurred to me that I was making Schindler's List either. That there were World War II comparisons and there were Holocaust comparisons. Because that's not true. It's not in the movie.
During a recent interview for the Profile in the Telegraph, Phoenix allegedly stopped the conversation dead in its tracks after being asked whether he'd given any thought to the possibility that audiences might take the message or take the wrong message away from the movie. And good, he should have walked out of there. It's like these people are just fishing for a story.
Exactly. They're fishing for that headline. They're fishing for that outrage and that shock culture that we've come into.
Rather than stopping to mull the question over, Phoenix simply left, much in the same way he was alleged to often do while shooting the film itself. Yet Phoenix doesn't seem to have considered this kind of question at all. So when I put it to him, aren't you worried that this film might perversely end up inspiring exactly the kind of people it's about, with potential tragic results? It's like, what a leading and horrific
exactly. What
question.
A horribly loaded question to put onto somebody.
His fight or flight response kicks in. Mine too, just about. Yeah, because you said some stupid shit and he probably wanted to beat your ass.
Yeah, you cornered him. You tried to get him to admit to something that he didn't believe was true because he was in this film and goes, no, hell no, and wanted to get out of there instead of trying to get caught where he could then get roasted by these types of people. His witch hunt. It takes
an hour's piece brokering with a Warner Brothers PR to get things back on track. Phoenix panicked, he later explains, because the question genuinely hadn't crossed his mind before. Then asks me, not for the last time, what an intelligent answer might have sounded like. And no, Phoenix never answered the question.
Yes, he did. He didn't answer it there, but he answered it later.
What did he say?
Oh, shit. He basically, I have to find it, but basically he said, we can't tell the difference from right and wrong, from real and fake.
Yeah. It seems unfathomable that Phoenix could have taken this role on without spending any time reflecting on the cultural landscape the movie exists in, given the actor's reputation for diving deep into the essence of the characters that he plays. Even if he somehow managed put together his take on the Joker in a vacuum, it seems just as unlikely that this topic never came up during the movie's production process, or that someone at Warner Brothers wouldn't have thought to themselves, someone's probably going to ask about the movie glorifying angry white men taking up arms. It's like, dude, you, man.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm so tired of people like throwing around the angry white men.
Yeah,
you want to know why they're also angry? It's because you're writing stupid ass articles like this and constantly like demonizing them and telling them how shitty they are.
Yeah, it's like this weird reverse racism.
Oh my god.
You're angry because you're white. It's like, whoa, am I? I didn't know that. I would never say that about another race. You're angry because you're brown and Mexican. It's like, what?
What?
Why would that even be something logical?
Like you replace the word white with any other word, and all of a sudden it sounds horrific. But somehow, if you say it about white people, it's okay. It's like, it's crazy to me. It's like, no wonder why so many white people are depressed in this country.
Well, yeah, I would think that if you get poked in the chest enough times and told that you're an idiot, that you'd get angry.
Yeah.
You know?
Plain and simple. And you know the sad part is that I guarantee you people like Charles Pulliam Moore would say, good. He's like, good. Yeah. They need to feel like that.
Yeah, they need to feel angry. It's like, why would you want someone to feel angry? Why is that your goal, to incite this sort of chaos? To me, this is doing more to push the Joker's agenda than anything else.
Yes, this is doing more harm and more chaos than that film ever will. In fact, you could argue that the film acts as almost like a release valve in some sense. Like if you could say that these people, there are sick people out there that would want to see that and it may inspire them, you know, there's something to say about like visualizing something like that may act as almost like a cathartic release for them, to where it's like, I don't need to do that shit because, like, you know, I experienced that film, and in a way it had its own level of satisfaction to it. I guess what I'm trying to say is that what a lot of people are trying to do right now is almost like repress some of the darker aspects of society. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a terrible, terrible idea. That instead of repressing, so to speak, our shadow, you know, and using Jungian terms, that we need to integrate with the shadow. The more that you repress something, the more it amplifies it.
Right,
actually.
and fights against its repression.
Yes.
Yeah, like a caged animal.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And all you're doing is making it crazier. Now, and I don't think that would mean that everyone should go out and say something racist or go out and kill somebody because they have this urge.
No.
But again, I think it comes back to that right and wrong. Well, I found Joaquin's response.
Okay, let's hear it.
He says, this is an interview with IGN. Joaquin says, well, I think that for most of us, you're able to tell the difference between right and wrong. So I don't think that it's the responsibility of a filmmaker to teach the audience morality or the difference between right and wrong. I mean, to me, I think that's obvious. And then Todd Phillips adds in the same interview, the movie makes statements about a lack of love, childhood trauma, lack of compassion in the world. I think people can handle that message. It's so, to me, bizarre when people say, oh, well, I could handle it, but imagine if you can't. It's making judgments for other people, and I don't even want to bring this up bring up movies in the past that they've said this about, because it's shocking and embarrassing when you go, oh my God, do the right thing. They said that in that movie also.
Let me ask you this. You think that if this film, if they actually got an actor to play the Joker that wasn't white, if we'd still see these stories?
Oh, it would be a completely different drama. It would be everyone up in arms that he wasn't white.
Yeah, that would be the drama.
You know,
that's a good point. They're gonna find there's
outrage drama regardless,
no matter what.
And it goes back to what that quote: "Outrage is a commodity."
Yeah,
and it's so sad what this has become. Everybody has given into the terrorists. And nobody even knows who the terrorists are anymore, because they said the left and the right sound the same. When they're trying to push this idiotic agenda on everybody, they're the same buffoon yelling nonsense in everybody's face. And it becomes, that line becomes so blurred, it doesn't matter what side you're on, you're yelling hate and garbage. And you're pushing this anarchist agenda that the Joker would be full chub about.
That's a good point.
He wants everybody freaked out about nothing. He didn't have to do anything. You think about Heath Ledger and the Joker. Yes. He burns all that money because bullets are cheap, right? Gas is cheap. He chases the car just to chase it, right? Yes. The dude's nuts.
Yes.
That's what this has become.
I love his quote about the whole status quo, you know, like he talks about, you hear like some soldiers die overseas and you just, you know, you don't even care, but he threatens one little judge and the whole world loses their minds.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's always trying to push against the cultural norms, what's accepted, and create chaos.
Yeah.
And you look at a guy like this Charles. Thing is I'm looking at this. Look, 315,000, whatever the hell this is.
That's a fire icon.
Fires, dude. Which is like, what is that, likes?
It's got to be like, this is fire, man.
600 something comments. My point is that to the editors and stuff at Gizmodo, they're probably like, this was an amazing piece.
Yeah.
Look at all the eyeballs that you
look
just
at how
us.
Many links. Look at those two jackasses talking about us right now.
And really, it's all these people like Gartner and all these that are right here along the side that are really benefiting from this.
Money and ads. That's the business, man.
That's the business.
It's sad. I mean, I can't wait to see this movie on Thursday to understand and then be able to have a legitimate conversation about what this movie's pushing.
Right.
I can't tell you about a book I haven't read. I can't tell you about a restaurant I haven't eaten at. I can't tell you about a movie I haven't seen. Especially when you consider that this was always pushed as an original origin story and telling of the Joker. Mm-hmm. Because like they said, they wanted to make a real movie with a comic book name.
Yeah.
And it was inspired by the King of Comedy and, you know, a very heavy Martin Scorsese drive with the Joker title. Because, I mean, let's be real, superheroes are selling right now.
Yes.
And so in a few days, then let's talk about what this story is and what it's pushing and what the agenda is once we know.
Once we know. I think most sane people would go into this film and say, oh, it's a movie about a villain.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a villain.
I'm a normal, sane human being. I'm going to be entertained.
I'm not going to model my life over this villain, you know?
I want to see Joaquin Phoenix doing a great job at his job of acting.
Yeah.
You know, when you see Walk the Line with Joaquin Phoenix, does it make you want to become Johnny Cash? I don't know, maybe. But at some point you'd realize I still don't have the talent to do it anyways. I can't become a crazed, awesome, badass serial killer because I'm not that smart. You know, so damn, one more movie to disappoint me with what they have going for them.
I just think it's a real sketchy line that they're starting to toe. Like, are we going to start seeing more and more outrage over different types of characters and different, genres? Because like we said at the beginning here, the inconsistency of like, are we going to start going, what about... are we
going to cancel The Irishman? Coming up,
The Irishman
for Netflix.
Yeah, that's
Jimmy Hoffa and
gangsters.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't have a film about Jimmy Hoffa. That's glorifying violence.
Well, yeah, we don't want racketeering and all these things. Heaven forbid.
You know,
people learn about.
And what you see is actually the opposite. You see so many people hyped about that film, and as they should be.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I get that some people might make the argument that it's real versus fiction, but I would think that
worse.
Yeah, I would think then that would mean okay. It's fiction, so I'll treat it as such.
What I'm saying is that it's almost worse that you don't see the outrage over the glorification of real characters, real life people.
Of real life villains.
Yeah, it's like, just like when you, like, how is that any different than, when a shooter goes on some spree and they print their name in the paper and people are like, oh, you shouldn't print their name because you're granting them immortality.
Right.
Well, then we make films about them.
Yeah, and then we wait 10, 15 years and make that movie.
And I'm not saying that we shouldn't. Like, I'm fine with films like The Irishman. I'm just saying that, like, once you go down this line, you got to be consistent all the way through.
Agreed.
And I don't think that even Charles is ready to do that.
Right? Well, yeah, it's like, I'd be curious to see if Charles Moore is a big fan of Mindhunters on Netflix.
No kidding.
The idea of the creation of serial killers and the creation of the FBI. I mean, we glorify and deify that violence in a way that is very weird to me. I mean, murder podcasts, that's the thing right now, right? Everybody,
the most
murder mysteries,
craze.
The crime shows, all that stuff, that is the biggest thing. And yeah, when we want to go after a piece of fiction that the Aurora, Colorado families, as tragic as that was, they haven't seen this movie. They're just attacking it because there's a headline to attack right now. And they're they're piggybacking something potentially untrue to push their own personal agenda. Yeah. Go after every single movie where a gun is fired if your agenda is gun violence in movies. Mm-hmm. Every single movie ever with a gun. Okay? Good luck.
Yeah. Also, we in America have a thing for violence in cinema. Like, if you want to make that argument that is bad, like, whatever. In our films, there's a lot of violence where you'd see in a lot of other countries, there's it's not unusual to have like films with a lot of sex. It's uncensored on TV.
Yeah.
But it would be very weird to see as much violence as we see. We kind of almost do it the reverse.
Yeah. We like the blood and guts. They like the boobs.
But we repress the sexual aspect. Right. And so if you want to critique that, fine, but be consistent is all I'm saying.
Agreed.
Anyway, I'm really excited to see this film. I'm excited to see what all the outrage is actually about.
Right.
And
maybe a big pile of nothing. Who knows? Maybe we'll revisit it after Thursday when we have the chance to see it.
Dude, that'd be great. All right, dude. On to the next article.
Hell yeah.